Let's start with Kerala. Political battleground in Kerala is shifting and all eyes are now on a quiet coastal belt that could redraw electoral equations. Ahead of the assembly elections, the BJP is making a determined push to expand its footprint among Christian voters, and Munambam is emerging as the key test case. A traditional UDF stronghold, Munambam is now witnessing a churn on the ground with voices of discontent and shifting loyalties. My colleague Arpita was speaking to people over there, and this is her ground report.
Ahead of the Kerala Assembly elections, the BJP is making a strong push to win over Christian voters, and Munambam is emerging as a key battleground. Munambam is a coastal region with a significant Christian population, has traditionally been a stronghold of the UDF. However, the political mood here appears to be shifting. Many residents from Munambam have joined the BJP. In fact, they had come to Thiruvananthapuram to campaign for Rajiv Chandrasekhar.
Look, this is not an isolated incident. This is true for Muslims, this is true for Christians. It's very, very clear that when it comes to development, we are the only one that people of Kerala trust. When it comes to protecting people's rights, we are the only one that people trust. Because everybody else in the state, including the CPM and the Congress, are interested in looking at every issue through the prism of religion, through the prism of vote bank. We are the only party that says appeasement of none, equality for all, equal rights for all. And that is why people in Munambam, people across the state, whether they're Christian, Muslims or Hindus, whoever is interested in development, whoever wants to create change in the state, are supporting the BJP NDA.
I am here in Munambam, which is a place near Kochi. And times now we have been covering Munambam Waqf issue since it happened in 2019. Now, Munambam issue came to light. In fact, Munambam came to light when in 2019 the Kerala Waqf board said that this area where these residents reside, they declared it as Waqf board, and which then triggered it. There was a fear among the residents that they might have to vacate this property. Since then, the issue is in front. In fact, last year around this time when the Waqf Amendment Act came to place, even then times now was in Munambam, speaking to the residents, getting their voices here. Now, just ahead of elections, remember, BJP has been trying to woo Christian voters. And Munambam is a place where we have more than 75% residents coming from Christian community.
BJP ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് കേന്ദ്രത്തിൽ പാർലമെന്റിൽ ഒരു നിയമം പാസാക്കിയത്. അപ്പോൾ നിയമത്തിനെ എതിർത്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് UDFന്റെയും LDFന്റെയും എംപിമാർ അവിടെ എതിർക്കുകയാണ് ചെയ്തത്. അപ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് BJPയിൽ മാത്രമേ ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു വിശ്വാസമുള്ളൂ.
ഒരു നാടകം കളിയാണ്. എന്താണെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഇവിടെ വന്നിട്ടും പറയും ഇത് പിണറായി വിചാരിച്ചാൽ 10 മിനിറ്റ് കൊണ്ട് തീർക്കാനുള്ള പ്രശ്നമുള്ളതെന്നാണ്. അത്രയും നിസ്സാരമായ ഒരു കാര്യമാണെന്നാണ് VD സതീശൻ പറഞ്ഞത്. തിരിച്ച് ഈ ഒരു 3 കിലോമീറ്റർ അപ്പുറം ചെന്നിട്ട് പറയും അത് മറ്റവർക്ക് വേണ്ടി. ഏത് മുസ്ലിം ലീഗാണല്ലോ അവരുടെ മെയിൻ ആളുകൾ. അത് അവർക്ക് ഒരു ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുണ്ടാകുന്ന കേസാണ്. I
would say this is a moment of gratitude, because right now if I am sleeping in my home peacefully, it's only because of this new amendment which the BJP government has imposed. So it's a gratitude, and I feel for me it's my duty to go and spread this message to all over wherever it is happening. So yesterday 3 days we were in Trivandrum doing whatever we can. We are a fisherman fraternity. Fishermen, we don't forget people who has helped us. So it's our duty to go and spread this message, who saved us, who took care of us.
But the Congress is saying that this amendment bill is an eyewash. Residents of Munambam will not benefit.
The BJP has established a stand or made a campaign where they have misled the people of Munambam that this is a bill which would attain rights for the Munambam people. My question is very simple. If there is a law in place and the law has been passed, they organized a program called Nandi Modi. After Nandi Modi and Kiran Rijiju, the law minister came, he said, we will make rules in 2 weeks. When the rules come in place, the problem will be sorted out. My question was not answered in the parliament by the government. Any of the senior ministers didn't answer. Minority prem which they have been telling about is fake, and the people of Kerala will understand. The people of Vipin will understand. The people of Munambam will understand.
നമുക്കിവിടെ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ BJP എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു പാർട്ടി തന്നെ ഇവിടെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല. കാരണം BJP വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇവിടെ വർഗീയത അങ്ങനെ എന്നുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞാണ് നമ്മൾ ഇവിടെ ഇത്ര നാളും പോയിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്നത്. പക്ഷേ നമ്മളുടെ ഭൂമി പോകുന്ന ഒരവസ്ഥയിലേക്ക് നമ്മൾ വന്നപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ വിശ്വസിച്ച് വോട്ട് ചെയ്തിരുന്ന വെച്ചാൽ ഈ രണ്ട് പാർട്ടി LDF UDF പാർട്ടി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മളെ തിരിഞ്ഞു നോക്കുക എന്നല്ല, നമ്മുടെ ഭൂമി നഷ്ടപ്പെടുത്താൻ ആരാണോ വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത് വഖഫിന്റെ കൂടെയാണ് ഈ രണ്ട് പാർട്ടിയും കൂടിയിരിക്കുന്നത്. കാരണം നമ്മളെ ഒറ്റപ്പെടുത്തിയിട്ട് അവരുടെ കൂടെ കൂടിയിരിക്കണം, നമ്മുടെ ഭൂമി കളയാവുന്ന രീതിയിലേക്ക് വരുത്തിയിരിക്കണം. അപ്പം നമ്മളെ
Let's go across to Arpita, who's joining us live on the broadcast now. Arpita, your detailed report captures the mood on ground, and your assessment, of course, through the interactions that you've had with people, is that BJP is making inroads in UDF's bastion?
Well, yes, Swati rightly said, Munambam is a stronghold of UDF, but this time things are different because when I spoke to the people there, all of them were saying that they will be voting for BJP. In fact, there around 600 families live in Munambam, out of which 300 plus families have already joined BJP, and most of them are coming to various parts of Kerala and Trivandrum and other places to campaign for main leaders of the BJP. And what they're saying is that they will continue to support BJP. BJP is the only party who stood with them when the Waqf issue happened. So clearly there is a shift from UDF to BJP in Munambam, and that is clearly helping BJP because they are definitely trying to woo the Christian voters, and with Munambam residents supporting them, it is really helpful for BJP in the upcoming assembly
All right,
election.
Arpita, thank you very much for the ground report, and thank you for getting us the live inputs. Moving on now, let's shift our focus to another state, another poll-bound state of Assam. In the charged political run-up to the Assam Assembly elections 2026, the battle between the BJP and the Congress has escalated into a fierce war of words. Congress leader Pawan Khera has launched a sharp critique of the Himanta Biswa Sarma government, branding it a bunty bubbly government and accusing it of misleading the people of Assam. The BJP, however, has responded aggressively, rejecting the allegations and countering that the Congress lacks both vision and a concrete roadmap for Assam's future. My colleague Anamika spoke exclusively with BJP candidate Diplu Ranjan and Congress leader Pawan Khera to capture perspectives from both sides of the divide.
जब भी बीजेपी मैनिफेस्टो निकालती है वो झूठ का पुलिंदा होता है, इस बार भी वही होगा। हमने अभी लाई डिटेक्टर टेस्ट आपको दिखाया, पिछले मैनिफेस्टोस के जितने झूठ थे वो यहाँ आज लाई डिटेक्टर टेस्ट मशीन में पकड़े गए, लाल बत्ती जली। रही बात गौरव साहब की, तो हेमंता बिस्वा शर्मा पिछले 5 साल से मुख्यमंत्री हैं, बीजेपी पिछले 10 साल से यहाँ सरकार में है, केंद्र में 11-11.5 साल से सरकार में है। अब तक क्यों इंतजार कर रहे थे? सिर्फ आरोप लगाने के लिए? चुनाव से पहले करिए ना, कुछ गलत होता है तो पकड़िए। कौन रोक रहा है आपको? सरकार आपकी, एजेंसीज आपकी। क्या अमित शाह सिर्फ एमएलए खरीदने के लिए, बेचने के लिए बैठा है क्या? होम मिनिस्टर है, कोई यही उम्मीद रहेगी हमेशा कि हम हाथ खड़े कर दें? हम नहीं हाथ खड़े करने वाले। बीजेपी को यहां से खदेड़ेंगे, हराएंगे, भगाएंगे और बंटी और बबली को जेल में भी डालेंगे।
ये बंटी और बबली आपने काफी टाइम प्रेसर में भी बोला, ये बंटी और बबली है कौन? ये सर
यहाँ बंटी और बबली, मैंने आपको सब आंकड़े दिए, मंत्री और मंत्रियों के पत्नियों के एसेट्स आपके सामने रखे।
बंटी कौन है?
आप जानते हैं बंटी कौन है?
जनता
पहले
आपके
हमारे साथ था, अब उधर चला गया।
और बबली किसके बारे में आपको?
आप समझ रहे हैं वो कौन है? वो परिवार पूरा है जिसने 12,000 बीघा जमीन चुराई है, वही तो है बंटी बबली। कैसे समाज में विवाद पैदा करें, इसलिए ये मुद्दे लाते हैं। मैंने आपको आंकड़े दिए, मनमोहन सिंह जी की सरकार 10 साल में 88,000 गैर कानूनी लोगों को डिपोर्ट किया गया देश से। 10 साल इनके ले लीजिए, 2,285 लोगों को डिपोर्ट किया गया। अब आप बताइए किस इसमें भी कौन सबसे आगे? हम
जानते हैं कि कांग्रेस का कोई कैरेक्टर नहीं है। अगर देश बर्बाद भी हो जाए, लेकिन कांग्रेस को अपना का जो पिटी पॉलिटिक्स है उसको करना है। पवन खेरा जैसा लोग, ये जो ट्रेंड है कांग्रेस का, जो डिवाइड एंड रूल पॉलिसी है, उसको ही रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं। पवन खेरा इज ए वेरी एंटी असमीज पीपल। पवन खड़ा हितेश्वर शइकिया ने असम असेंबली में एक दिन बोला था 50 लाख घुसपैठिया असम में है। जब मुस्लिम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, जब माइनॉरिटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने उसको धमकी दिया कि हम लोग 1 मिनट में आपका गवर्नमेंट गिरा देंगे, तब हितेश्वर शइकिया जी ने बोला एक भी घुसपैठिया नहीं है।
Anamika joins us on the broadcast with more details. The battleground in Assam is heating up as well, and of course, the war of words getting fierce.
Well, Swati, it's a high voltage drama in Assam, and one side political leaders are saying about the development, and another side is like allegation. And as we have seen that Pawan Khera have put many allegation. On the other hand, Deeplu Ranjan, the political leader from Bhajpa, he have defended it. And presently, I would like to show you some very important visuals along with us, very important person along with us. We have Parvez Alam along with us, and Parvez, I would like to talk to you. Parvez, आप कहाँ से आए हो?
मैं मुजफ्फरनगर उत्तर प्रदेश से आया हूँ और हम जो है दादा की डॉक्टर हेमंत बिस्वा शर्मा जी के मोहब्बत में, प्यार मोहब्बत में उनको जो है चुनाव लड़ाने के लिए, उनकी कैंपेनिंग के लिए आए हैं।
परवेज जी, जैसे आए दिन अगर आसाम की बात करें, इलीगल इमिग्रेशन की बात होता है, बांग्लादेशी घुसपैठियों के बारे में बोलते हैं, माइनॉरिटी के बारे में बोलते हैं। आप एक माइनॉरिटी के एक समुदाय के एक व्यक्ति हो, फिर भी आप हेमंत के लिए यहाँ तक आगे, आपको बुलाया गया है क्या यहाँ पे?
मुझे बुलाया नहीं गया जी, मैं दादा की मोहब्बत में, असम सीएम के मोहब्बत में, प्यार में आया हूँ। और आप सभी को पता है कि जो बांग्लादेशी घुसपैठिए हैं वो तो असम की लोकल मुसलमान इनको ही खा रहे हैं, जमीनों पे कब्जा कर रहे हैं, इलीगल धंधे कर रहे हैं और असम का नाम खराब कर रहे हैं और बहन बेटियों की इज्जत से खिलवाड़ करने का काम कर रहे हैं। तो जो डॉक्टर हेमंत बिस्वा शर्मा जी हैं, सीएम असम, वो सिर्फ बांग्लादेशी घुसपैठियों का दिमाग ठीक करने का काम कर रहे हैं और अभी तक 1.25 लाख बीघा जमीन बांग्लादेशी घुसपैठियों से मुक्त करा चुके हैं।
All right, Ritita, thank you for getting us. Thank you for getting us the reactions. We'll come back to you, Anamika. We're moving on now and shifting our focus to the state of West Bengal, where the political battle is heating up, and it's no longer just about votes. It's about identity, culture, and sentiment. From parliament to political rallies, the war of words between the TMC and the BJP has sharpened, with both sides claiming to be the true protectors of Bangla and Bengali pride. At the center of this political storm is a name deeply rooted in Bengal's history, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, and a controversy that has now spilled into the electoral arena. Times Now's Ridhita spoke exclusively with his fifth-generation descendant, Soumitra Chattopadhyay, who's stepping into the political battlefield from Naihati.
At this point, I'm joined by Soumitra Chattopadhyay, who is the fifth generation of the Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay's family, and he is also contesting as one of the candidates from the BJP in the Naihati constituency. Hello and welcome to Times Now, sir. Thank you for speaking. I'll just ask you the first question, that at this point, when you're standing as a contender of BJP, how does it feel, especially when you're standing from the ground of Naihati?
Actually, Naihati is my route. Because of my service, I was posted in various districts of West Bengal, and initially I was in CBI, so I was posted outside Bengal also. I'm feeling very proud because my father was born and brought up at Naihati itself.
So we have seen that due to whenever the topic of Bengal has come in, especially the topic about Bengal's freedom fighters, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay has played a major role, and especially now when we see the current role of politics, we see that during the last winter session, Congress had attacked JP Nadda on the line stating that why is BJP now wanting for an equilibrium status of the national song when in 1950 Rajendra Prasad had already given a same line of respect to both the anthem and the song. So do you think they had said that this is BJP's strategy to pit Bankim Chandra against Tagore and insult Gurudev? So being attached to the party now and standing as one of their candidates, have you ever felt it is a pit to insult Gurudev or BJP strategizing over Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay?
Let me be very clear. It's the fault of the Congress because Rajendra Prasad was a congressman. When he wanted equal status of those two songs, and after Rajendra Prasad there was Indira Gandhi, there was Rajiv Gandhi, everybody forgot what their predecessors said. So Congress should feel sorry what their senior leader told them. So it's great of BJP that they have considered the opinion of the senior leader of the Congress in a way and giving importance to Bande Mataram.
Let's now go across to Ridhita. Ridhita, a lot of developments taking place in West Bengal as the Bankim Rao also enters the political arena in the state of West Bengal. The entire focus is on the pre-poll violence as well.
Absolutely, you see that always there has been a question laid down from the Trinamool Congress that Bengal is not respected in the eyes of Delhi. Bengal is always targeted, especially when the topic of SIR has come. We have already heard that Bengal's chief minister has said time and again that Bengal is a soft target. The land, the history, the culture, nothing here is respected. And when the topic about freedom fighters have also come into matter, it has also been said the same thing. Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, during the last winter speech of the Prime Minister, he was attacked both by the Trinamool Congress Party and by Congress when Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay was referred to as Bankim Da as the Prime Minister. TMC Shrogata Roy, he had said that no proper respect has been given, after which also the Chief Minister and the General Secretary from every stages have said the same thing, that no respect towards the freedom fighters of Bengalis are given, and hence if
It's
Delhi
also a war of
people come to
narratives
power-
there in the state of West Bengal. Thank you very much, Ridhita, for getting us the details. Moving on, agriculture is one of the key issues in Tamil Nadu's electoral landscape this season. Ahead of the crucial April 23rd elections, here is a look at what the DMK has promised for the farming community. The DMK has promised to provide free modern electric pump sets to over 20 lakh farmers who currently receive free electricity for agricultural use. The party's manifesto specifies that no meters will be installed on these pump sets. On crop pricing, the DMK has promised to increase the procurement price for paddy to 3,500 rupees per quintal. This is a notable increase over the current minimum support price of around 2,500 rupees per quintal. For sugarcane farmers, the DMK has promised a procurement price of 4,500 rupees per ton compared to the current rate of 3,500 rupees. Now, sugarcane cultivation is significant in several districts of Tamil Nadu, particularly in the Kaveri Delta region. With that, a quick break on the broadcast. There's a lot more lined up on the other side.